I guess times have changed, and I mean, ladies and gentlemen, today we have a 2021 Subaru WRX STI, the last of its kind, the last of a generation, because now we only have WRXs, no more STIs. And the question today is, how does it drive? These have shot up in value because they are the last model year of the STI. Brand new, they were right around 40 grand, and if you buy one used, it's actually around the same price. I did actually drive a STI back in like 2013. I had brought my FRS to the dealership and they had one out that I test drove while my car was being fixed. And not gonna lie, that wasn't the... I didn't love the car. But since then I've also driven a WRX, which you can see right up here. And now this is the first time being back in the seat of an STI in about 10 years. Obviously, the car's changed a lot since then, but the fundamentals remain. So we are still powered by a 2.5 liter 4-cylinder turbocharged engine, pushing out 310 horsepower, 290 pound-feet of torque. The interior is obviously not going to be super luxurious. This is a Subaru at the end of the day, but I do like the Alcantara and leather seats here with the red accents and the red seat belts. Nice touches. We got a manual handbrake. I like that. Seating position is a little bit high, and first getting into the car, the first thing you do is you push the seat down and you realize it doesn't go any lower. But I like that the steering wheel telescopes quite a bit. And we are off. I used to love both this and the Evo as a kid because they were these supercar slayers. They were, remember that Top Gear episode? I think it was an Evo with a some sort of Lamborghini. I'm just keeping up. First impressions. This is not your mom's Subaru. Now we have a few settings here. The center diff, which is named C diff. I mean, there's a couple names in this car that just are a bit unfortunate if you work in the healthcare field. So, first being C diff, Clostridium difficile, what causes pretty bad diarrhea, and it smells so bad. And the second being STI for obvious reasons. But the center diff is a large part of the magic. This is electronically controlled, and we're gonna set it to auto minus. I hear that putting it in manual can actually damage the transmission, or sorry, the center diff, but auto minus is gonna put more of the torque towards the rear. So if you want that rotation, you want it that way, and if you want a little bit more understeer bias, you're gonna put auto plus to put more towards the front. Now the second setting is the, what is this, sport, intelligent, and what we're gonna do here is keep it in sport. This just modulates the throttle response. So the Sport Plus is the most aggressive, which makes the throttle response, oh nice, makes the throttle response more immediate, but I'm concerned that it might make it feel like an on-off switch, so we're gonna see. Front and rear mechanical LSDs, a big part of the magic of the STI, sets it apart from the WRX in that way. And I gotta say, for a turbocharged engine, this throttle response is actually, oh, look at that. Steering feedback. The throttle response is actually quite good, quite responsive for a turbocharged engine. Let's put this down into sport. See, that changes things. Now, the steering it's telling me about the contact patch. It's not the most communicative EPS that I've ever driven by any means, but compared to when I first drove that STI back 10 years ago, I remember thinking that the steering and the transmission were so numb, and that it felt like a fast Camry. Now, granted, back then I didn't have as much experience behind the wheel of cars, but I was comparing it to my FRS at the time. And this steering is more communicative than I remember that generation to be. Also, forgot to mention, this car is bone stock. The owner believes in OEM, and I respect that. So no mods, OEM only. Not even OEM plus mods, just stock. Yeah, even in sport mode, downshift rev matching, no problem. The transmission is all loosey-goosey. It's got that classic, vague, what gear am I in, Subaru transmission feel. But the throws do feel a little bit shorter than in the WRX I drove. It's not a bad transmission. It's not a strong point either. The steering is pretty good. Not the best, but it's not bad. Ergonomics, I'm still a little bit higher than I would like. Heel towing is not problematic. I mean, it takes a little bit of an adjustment because of the spacing is a bit wider than in some other cars, but I'm going uphill now. Definitely a much faster car than something like a GR86 that I own. But I remember the first time I drove an STI, it felt like it was gonna rip my face off with speed, and now I would say it feels quick, but it's not. I mean, I guess times have changed, and 310 horsepower isn't that much in the grand scheme of things. Compared to a stock WRX, the WRX I drove was not stock, but compared to a stock WRX, the peak torque occurs 2,000 RPM higher, at 4,000 rather than at 2,000. So it rewards you revving it out a little bit more, but it's still very much a turbocharged engine. It's not that naturally aspirated howl and peak power at the highest RPMs. It's ultimately a vehicle that is rally bred, right? So you want to use this, it's most at home on loose surfaces like gravel or snow, and on a road, I understand the appeal. I understand how it's a fast, I think it's a well-styled car in this generation that is very practical. You got 4 doors, plenty of space, big trunk, but it's not a sports car. You know, it's a fast, capable car, but it's not a sports car. It's not a terrible transmission by any means, but definitely not the strong suit. Wow. You know what this actually reminds me of? The first time I drove this road was in a GR Corolla. And this reminds me of a GR Corolla because it's all about stability. Stability, stability, stability. And as I'm putting the power down, I have elicited a little bit of understeer with an aggressive turn-in. But the front end overall feels decently sharp, especially when I put the throttle down. It just claws for grip, and I'm not getting understeer on corner exit. I do prefer this in Sport rather than in Sport Plus, just because of, I like having a little bit more modularity to the throttle, not too on-off switch. And obviously, as you drive a car more and you get more comfortable with it, then you have a greater level of precision, and then you may prefer doing Sport Plus, having that tighter throttle mapping. No problem with heel toe. Yeah, the way this thing grips on corner exit. Oh, we can see a little bit of understeer there as the front end got light, but that's more due to the variances in the road. At a price point of around 40 grand, there are a lot of amazing cars out there. But I really understand the appeal of a vehicle like this. And I see why the GR Corolla is compared to the STI. People call it the new STI, right? Because Subaru no longer makes a current STI. And people are considering that somewhat of a spiritual replacement and successor. A lot of stability. Yeah, stability is really the name of the game. That's the first word that comes to mind. And it's still a fun driving experience. I'm very much a rear-wheel drive purist. I love throttle steer. I'm not getting rotation even with this in auto minus. I'm not getting rotation, but I'm not getting understeer when I put my foot down either. And it has enough steering feedback to make me feel comfortable pushing it. It is also rewarding enough to drive without being a razor edge dedicated sports car. This second time behind the wheel of the STI, I'm understanding its appeal much more than the first time I drove it all those years ago, granted different generation, but also I have more appreciation for different types of vehicles and what they bring to the table. Not everything has to be a front engine rear wheel drive sports car that's sharp and playful and willing to oversteer. I would love to drive this on loose gravel and see how it handles there. I'm also really impressed that it's only 3,300 pounds. And now that's not a lightweight car by any means, but in the modern era, when you have a sedan with all-wheel drive and an advanced all-wheel drive system at that, like the one in the Subaru, it's very impressive to be 3,335 pounds, I believe. That is impressive. It handles its weight well. It's actually lighter than the 370Z Nismo that I drove last week I was here. And there you have it, 2021 Subaru WRX STI. I think in terms of the various generations, this is one of the better looking ones for sure. The wheels are polarizing. I think they look good. A lot of people don't like the two-tone alloys. The yellow calipers are real nice. It's a car that's simple. It's not beautiful, but it's not ugly. It's not overstyled. It's gonna age well. Unlike some other vehicles that shall not be named, we have functional vents. Gotta appreciate that. The hood scoop and spoolie boy noises. What more could you want? Let me know what you guys think. Big thanks to Nate for letting me review his car. Check out his channel on site, linked below. And if you want your car reviewed on this channel, visit jubbalandcars.com. We have a form that you can fill out. If you're in the Las Vegas or California region, we'll make it happen. Much love, my friends, and I'll see you all in that next one.